My boyfriend has a childhood sweetheart. A few days ago, his old flame came back to the country and asked to meet me. To my surprise, she actually advised me to treasure my relationship with my boyfriend and not to hold any grudges because of her. She even kindly gave me a dress, saying, "Take it. This is from a very popular original designer brand. Even a simple dress costs over $1,000. I glanced at the dress and casually remarked, "Didn't expect my clothing brand to be so well received." The night was eerily quiet, and the cold light from the phone screen shone. I turned to look at my boyfriend sleeping and then back at his chat history on his phone. "Selena, you left her today to pick me up at the airport and stayed with me in the hotel until late. What if your girlfriend finds out? If she's angry, you have to console her, right?" I saw my boyfriend, who I've been with for 4 years, reply with just one line, "No need to console her, give her a few days, she'll sort herself out. If she can't be consoled, I'll just find someone else but not you. If you're upset, I'll kneel down and beg until you're happy." Selena sent a laughing emoji. "I don't intend to be a third party. We'll just be best friends for life." At that moment, unexpectedly calm, I took out my phone, recorded the chat history, and then placed my boyfriend's phone back where it was. My whole body felt like it had been drenched with cold water, from head to toe. I sneezed, feeling a sore throat, a symptom that came before a cold every time. It rained heavily this afternoon. I waited at the company's entrance for 20 minutes without getting a taxi. Feeling helpless, I reluctantly called Henry, but he said he couldn't leave because of something urgent. Henry had just found a job recently, and his career was taking off. I'd been understanding, playing the role of a supportive girlfriend. Yesterday, when I thought he was really busy with work, it turned out he went to the airport to pick up his old flame. Henry was right in our 4 years of dating. He rarely consoled me after arguments. It was mostly self-adjustment on my part, or he'd give me a small gesture, and I'd let it go. Maybe because my parents passed away early, I've always had a giving personality. Despite growing up without my parents since childhood, I was raised in love by Auntie. My auntie is a remarkable person, a strong woman. She has no children of her own, but she's always been good to me even though she's often away. During college, my allowance was already in the 7 digits. I knew Henry came from an average background, so from the moment I got close to him, I pretended to be poor to bridge the gap between us. I had planned to tell him the truth once he got a stable job, but before I could, his old flame returned. I had given my all in this relationship, but in return, I got his indifferent remark, "No need to console her, give her a few days, she'll sort herself out. If she can't be consoled, I'll just find someone else." The next day, when Henry got up and found me sitting alone on the balcony, he pulled out a bottle of milk from the fridge and took a sip before looking at me strangely, asking why I was there so early. I snapped out of it and replied calmly, "Have a cold," feeling a bit uncomfortable, so got up. "Have you taken your medicine?" Henry approached and felt my forehead, saying I seemed fine, no fever. As soon as his hand touched my forehead, I felt nauseous. The act felt repulsive. I wanted to slap him and say, "Stop pretending, I know everything." But I couldn't let him off that easily. I took a deep breath, holding back my temper, and just replied, "I'm fine, already took the medicine." Henry hugged me, asking if I was mad he didn't pick me up yesterday. He said, "Michelle, as a good girlfriend, you should understand. I know you waited a long time yesterday and got cold. I wanted to pick you up, but I had something more important to do." He cupped my face, saying, "It's my birthday today. Remember we were supposed to go meet my parents together? Get ready, we'll leave soon." Indeed, it was Henry's birthday, and I had already prepared a gift for him, a fully paid Maserati. The car key was delicately wrapped and in my bag at that moment. Even though I had started working, Henry still drove his dad's car. The car was almost 10 years old, so I wanted to gift him a new car on his birthday. I couldn't wait to see the surprise on Henry's face when he received the car. I pressed the car key at the bottom of the bag, took it with me, and headed out with him. We had already planned to visit his parents together this week. I had bought gifts in advance, including top-grade sea cucumber and tea leaves, seeming ordinary but actually worth thousands of dollars. An hour later, we arrived at Henry's parents' house. Henry was a local, and the whole family lived in a tiny 60-square-meter house. However, on entering, I saw a glamorous girl standing in the living room, looking out of place. "Henry, why are you just getting back now?" Henry's mom, a lean woman in her 50s with short hair, affectionately pulled the girl close. "Selena has been waiting for you for ages." Turned out, she was Selena. After settling in, Henry's mom glanced at the gift I brought, showing a hint of disdain, and casually said, "Just leave it there." Selena tried to leave but was insisted on staying for dinner. At the dining table. "Here, this is the freshest crab Auntie got up early this morning to pick for you at the pier." Henry's mom handed the plumpest crab to Selena. "Auntie knows you like seafood. Give it a try, okay?" "Thank you, Auntie." Selena took the crab with a bright smile and then looked at me. "Michelle, why aren't you eating?" "Henry said you're not a local. Are you not used to our local food?" Selena's words seemed polite, but I could sense a hint of superiority in them. Henry's mom served Selena more food with a subtle tone, talking about it. "It's all about Selena's capability. She just returned to the country and already has a 6-figure annual salary, could buy a house like ours in 3 years. Some people, they won't earn in their lifetime what you make in a year after getting married, they'll just be a burden to the family." I wiped my mouth with a napkin, smiled slightly at Selena, and replied, "Do you know where Selena works?" "MQ Company, they asked me to report to the company next week," Selena replied nonchalantly. Selena mentioned my company, surprising me. I knew Henry's mom didn't like me. But in her eyes, how could I compare to Selena? Selena was indeed a local, with a family property that could secure her future. But me, I could buy a large flat in the city's most bustling area in the blink of an eye. Selena's annual salary was in tens of thousands, while the tax I paid in a year exceeded that. I kept quiet. After dinner, Henry's mom was eager for me to leave. I understood the hint and headed downstairs first. At the door, Henry's mom pulled Henry aside and whispered something to him. I stood with my hands in my pockets, waiting at the bottom of the stairs. "Michelle," Selena's voice came unexpectedly from behind me as I turned to look. "Please don't take Andy's words to heart. She's sharp-tongued but kind. We should be friends." Selena approached me with an innocent smile. "I'm not as capable as you think. I haven't been able to escape working for others despite studying abroad." She continued, "Don't distance yourself from me because of my wealth. I'd like us to be friends." Her tone was sweet. "There are people who look down on you yet won't say it to your face, they just subtly repel you." Selena was one of those people. I simply replied, "Wish you success at your new job." Henry seemed preoccupied on the way home, which in the past would have made me anxious, but now, I didn't care. I pretended to be sick these past days and slept in the spare bedroom next to ours. Henry didn't say much else. That night, I poured a glass of water and glanced at Henry's phone on the coffee table. I unlocked it, and his chat with his mom appeared. "Son, have you considered Selena? You've been friends since childhood. Michelle may be sensible, unlike modern girls, she doesn't ask for expensive gifts, and you always go Dutch when dining out. Dutch is normal, right? Why should you pay all the time? Don't talk me out of it. With your prospects, you could find someone better, instead of picking up loss-making one like her. Michelle is so simple, it's hard to come by nowadays. Don't mess things up with Selena. If you can't bring Selena home on Christmas, don't bother coming back." After reading the long message edited by Henry's mother, I chuckled to myself. I turned off the phone and left with my water. I used to think Henry loved me, but apparently, he was with me because I didn't demand gifts or expect him to pay for everything. But the fact that Selena had a boyfriend was something I hadn't expected. The next day, as I walked out of the room yawning, I saw Henry carrying his fried eggs from the kitchen. He looked at me with a hint of anger. "Why are you just getting up? I called you several times, and you didn't respond. Aren't you working today?" I knew why he was upset. I used to wake up 15 minutes earlier than him every morning to get breakfast. Today, finding nothing on the table when he woke up must have annoyed him. After breakfast, Henry left without a word and slammed the door. I had recently found out about Selena's boyfriend, George. They had met during their studies abroad, and George was from a wealthy local family, but he wouldn't be back until next year. After reading through these materials, my worldview was completely shattered. I used to think Selena had some interest in Henry, but turns out she just enjoys being pursued by men as a love interest. Even though she already had a boyfriend, she still had a relationship with Henry. These two, growing up together, really live up to their reputations as childhood friends. Just as I was about to arrange a meeting with Selena, I unexpectedly received a call from her first. She asked to meet in person, saying she had some things to talk to me about. I arrived on time at the coffee shop she had chosen. As soon as I sat down, Selena handed me a wrapped package. "Michelle, this is a little thoughtful gift from me." Looking at the MQ brand on it, I couldn't help but chuckle. What's this supposed to mean? Just take it, it's an MQ dress, each one costs over $1,000. Michelle sat across from me, crossing her legs, slowly stirring her coffee with a spoon. I heard from Henry and his mom that your family isn't well off. Have you never worn such expensive clothes in your life? So, are you meeting me just to give me this dress? Andy told me you've been having a hard time with him recently. Selena looked genuinely concerned. Is it because of me? I asked you to meet so I could explain. Henry and I are just friends. Please don't let any animosity arise between you and Henry because of me. You wouldn't want to cut off his friendships just because he's in a relationship, right? I believe you're not that unreasonable. You think too highly of yourself. I stared right into her eyes. The reason why things are going south between Henry and me is because he is a scumbag, unrelated to whether you're a slut or not. True to her nature, Selena's face instantly turned extremely unpleasant. Who do you call a slut? Leaning back lazily, I smiled at her. Well, the one sitting in front of me. She clenched her sleeves tightly, then suddenly seemed to realize something, covering her face and starting to cry. As expected, I heard an anxious voice behind me. Selena. Henry rushed over and sat directly next to Michelle. What's wrong? Michelle was just crying softly. Seeing this, Henry raised his angry eyes toward me, as if losing his sanity. What did you do to her? His uncontrollable anger was as if I had openly slapped him in public with tears in her big eyes. Michelle's voice choked. All I did was kindly give her a piece of clothing, and she straight up called me a whore, even wanting to hit me. Michelle, Henry clenched his fists and walked towards me. There was a crisp slap. Selena covered her face, momentarily forgetting her tears, staring in astonishment at me, still holding my hand in a slap position. Standing there nonchalantly, I calmly said, if I want to hit you, I'll hit you. No need to overthink it. Michelle burst into even louder sobs. Seeing this, Henry's expression contorted even more. You're out of your mind. Dare to try hitting me again? A second slap landed hard on Henry's angry face. I'm just hitting you two sluts. This was a public place, and despite the chaos, everyone turned to look at us. This coffee shop was near Henry's workplace, and I guess Michelle deliberately asked to meet me here, and if my guess was correct, she also invited Henry. I knew what she was thinking. She just wanted Henry to misunderstand me as being mean to her, right? So, as she wished, I gave them each a slap. Selena seemed surprised that I dared to stand up to her. She must have heard about my personality from Henry. Mature, obedient, easygoing, ever ready to take on the burden. The last time at Henry's parents' house, I hardly spoke, further confirming her impression of me. So she wanted to show superiority in front of me, to assert dominance, to toy with me as if I were an ant under her foot. I indeed have a good temper, but only when I love Henry. Henry was also taken aback by the slap, whereas Michelle was the first to react. Henry, are you okay? Michelle, who gave you the right to hit someone? I'll call the police. You better call them now. I smirked, taking out a stack of photos from my bag, tossing them at the two of them, and casually asking, I wonder if the police care when both parties have boyfriends and girlfriends and engage in outdoor activities like having a field sex. As the photos scattered on the floor, upon a closer look, they were all explicit photos. Yes, during these days, I had been mustering up the courage to collect evidence of Selena and Henry cheating. In the cinema, a secluded corner of the park, even in office hallways without cameras. Selena and Henry thought they could seek thrills openly, away from their respective partners, believing no one was around, and there were no cameras. How absurd. Selena lowered her head dismissively at the photos, but upon clearly seeing the contents, she screamed. Frantically, she began picking up the photos. Unfortunately, the coffee shop was bustling with people, passers-by clearly witnessing it all. Henry was also caught off guard, as he worked in the building next to the coffee shop. With people who knew him around, this was a disgraceful situation, really bad for his job. I stood with my arms folded, looking at these two on the ground, scrambling to pick up the scattered photos, and I even stepped on one of them. Selena, unable to retrieve the photo, squatted on the ground and raised her eyes to me, asking, "Michelle, what do you want?" I leaned down, lightly mocking, "Selena, being a foreign-educated person, you're so open-minded. Taking it this far and still had the nerve to call us just friends. I agree with this view, but I'm not sure if your boyfriend in England will also accept it." Michelle was angry. "You. I forgot to tell you that I secretly packaged and sent these photos to your boyfriend's email. I heard today is your 1-year anniversary, so I decided to give him this surprise on your behalf." "Michelle, you seem to be out of your mind." Henry gritted his teeth and stared at me. "How did I not realize before that you were such a deceitful woman? If you're jealous of Selena, just say it straight out. Why resort to such dirty tricks? Taking secret photos, do you think I won't sue you? I can have you locked up for a year or 2 like playing a game, you'll regret it." I laughed. "Why don't you tell me, what am I jealous of her about? Am I jealous that Selena is in my heart, that I love her more than I love you, that she's better than you in every way, that she has a great job, that she comes from a good family, that she has it all? You make me sick." After listening, I laughed loudly. Henry seemed to be furious and pointed at my nose. "My mom was right, you're just a waste of money, Michelle. What are you so arrogant about? You dare to secretly follow and take photos of me? Let me tell you, if you turn a blind eye and just let things go, I might have married you, but now even if you offer yourself to me, I won't want you. Get out, go home immediately and pack up your things, then get out of my house." The things, I had already taken them away before I came here. "Don't worry, I'll pack up all the things I bought and leave, and those air conditioners, refrigerators, TVs, washing machines, I would rather give them to junk collectors than leave them in your house. As for you," I looked at Selena beside me, "you're fired, you don't have to go to the company in the afternoon." "Why? Who do you think you are? Just because I'm the president of MQ, I can fire you." I sneered at her. "In this company, I have the final say." After saying this, I grabbed my bag and left without looking back. In my high heels, Selena stomped her feet behind me. "Hilarious, you're the president of MQ? I might as well be Bill Gates. If you dare, go ahead and fire me, I'm waiting for it." After that day, I never saw Henry and Selena again. But that night, I received a call from Henry's mother. She started scolding me immediately, questioning why I emptied Henry's house. "Didn't Henry ask me to pack up and leave? I packed up all the things I bought and took them away. What's the problem with that?" Without saying a word, I hung up the phone directly, then added Henry's mother's number to the blacklist. Auntie happened to have some free time recently and heard that I had broken up. She was so happy that she opened a bottle of champagne that night and took me on a trip for a few days. She said a profound saying to me, "Stay away from men, it will make you unlucky." I thought about it and found it quite reasonable. Auntie is already 40 this year and still unmarried and childless these days. I often go out shopping and getting makeup done with her. Almost everyone thinks Auntie and I are sisters, amazed that at 40, she looks like she's only in her 20s. I decided to follow her lead. With Henry before, there were many things I had to consider. Can't show off wealth, have to take care of his emotions, have to be a qualified and caring girlfriend. After the breakup, I realized that life without pretending to be poor is really great. But I didn't expect the world to be so small that I could still see Henry's family again. Because I've been driving a sedan a lot lately, I suddenly had the idea of buying an SUV, so I drove directly to a Mercedes-Benz 4S store. As the green light came on, I turned into the 4S store and suddenly a figure rushed over. I was so scared that I quickly slammed on the brakes. Before I could get mad, this jaywalking person started to scold me. Are you blind? Can't you drive? If you hit me, can you afford to compensate me? I tightly gripped the steering wheel, looking at the elderly lady with a lean face and a red shoulder bag in front of me. I sent this Henry's mother who used to look down on me and call me a waste of money? Michelle? Henry's mother also recognized me, squinted, looked around at my Maserati, and then made a slight hum from her nostrils. Even the one who drives this type of car dares to come to a Mercedes-Benz store. I looked around in confusion, then I realized that Henry's mother was pointing to the Maserati I was driving. She walked into the 4S store with a condescending air ahead of me. When I parked my car and went inside, I heard a familiar voice not far from a SUV. Henry, I like this one, the back space is also big. Henry got out of the driver's seat. It's nice to sit in. Mom, what do you think? Selena asked happily as she looked at the older woman sitting in the back seat. Not bad, not bad, this model costs at least $200,000, right? Henry's mother praised. The suggested price for this car on the road is $458,000. The sales lady hugged a document and smiled very pleasingly. As soon as Henry's mother heard this price, her face changed instantly, and her hand that was touching the car body also retracted. The sales lady continued, this model is the best-selling model in the same price range this month. May I ask what are the basic needs of the two of you in buying a car? We're getting married, so we came to look at new cars. Selena said, adding, my husband's previous car was also very good. It's only been driven for a couple of years. We just want everything to be new since we're getting married. Henry quickly nodded in agreement. Quite hypocritical. Maybe others didn't know what car Henry used to drive, but I knew very well. Seeing this, the sales lady smiled even more, complimenting, congratulations to both of you. You really have a talent, finding such a rich husband, looks very refreshing. Selena tucked a strand of hair behind her temple, it's not that big of a deal. The sales lady continued, right now there's a car in the store, once you swipe your card and go through the procedures, you can pick it up this afternoon. Henry's mother quickly said to the sales lady, it's fine, you can go ahead, we'll call you if we need you. The sales lady looked around and realized that there was only me and them in the store. Maybe because I looked simple today and left my bag in the car, she thought that an individual like me didn't have as much purchasing power as a whole family that came together to look at cars. The sales lady retracted her gaze and said to Henry's mother, it's okay, I'll be following behind you. It was lunchtime at the 4S store and there weren't many sales ladies on duty. I calmly walked over and began examining the car in front of them. It was clear that Henry and Selena were both stunned. It's you? I pointed to the SUV in front of me and said to the sales lady, tell me about this car. The sales lady showed no intention of serving me. I'm sorry, please wait for a moment, my colleague will come to assist you after lunch. Selena burst into laughter, no longer pretending to be a delicate little lady when I first met her. Michelle, why are you bothering yourself here? The sales lady can see that you can't afford a car. I pretended to just recognize her and asked her how things had been since she got fired and if she found a new job that pays hundreds of thousands annually. Selena's face turned extremely ugly. Michelle. If you hadn't posted those photos online, MQ would never have fired me to save face. And how could I have interviewed for so many jobs and not been hired? She still acted like she had no idea why she was fired from the company. I remained calm and pulled out my phone to find the contact information for the manager of this 4S store. Henry gave me a cold look and sarcastically said, Michelle, this isn't the place for you to visit. If you want to interview for a sales position here, the office is that way. Arms crossed, I looked at them both and casually mentioned, I heard you two are getting married. Are you here to buy this car? What's the deal? Selena defiantly hugged Henry tighter. Shaking my head, I continued, your ex-boyfriend probably broke up with you after seeing those photos, so you ended up with Henry. Figures. This comment clearly infuriated Henry. Knowing Henry's proud nature and strong ego, I always pretended to be poor when we were together. Since he got a job, he has always thought of himself as a quality man with a house, a car, and a proper job. Seeing how annoyed he was made me happy. Can you even speak, Henry? Henry's mother pushed past them and boldly came between us. My son and Selena may be whatever, but they are still better than you pretending to be rich in this luxury car store. You can't even afford this car with 10 years worth of work, and yet you dare to compete with us? Well, I'm not competing with you. I'll make way for you, I gestured politely. This gesture momentarily silenced Henry's family, who clearly couldn't afford the car worth over $400,000. Suddenly, the manager of the 4S store rushed out of the office, glanced around, and fixed his gaze on me before quickly walking over. Boss, why do you have time to come by today? Why didn't you inform me earlier so I could greet you at the door? The manager's words left everyone, including the salesladies, in shock. Last month, I bought a Mercedes business car here with Auntie and got the manager's contact information for later pickups. Henry stuttered, what did you call her? Boss? Selena's expression twisted, who does she think she is, a boss? The manager gave them an odd look. Michelle is the well-known president of MQ Company. Isn't that what a boss is? Selena widened her eyes in disbelief. Michelle is the president of MQ? How is that possible? Henry's mother was even more stunned and speechless. I casually mentioned, I couldn't get a hold of you earlier because the salespeople said it's lunchtime, and they won't be able to come out until they finish eating. The manager's fawning expression suddenly changed, and he scolded the trembling saleslady, you dare neglect Michelle's order? Looks like I've been training you all for nothing. Apologizing profusely, the saleslady bowed to me, full of fear. Henry abandoned Selena and approached me. Michelle, you're really the president of MQ? Why didn't you tell me you were so wealthy all these years? Seeing the Maserati car key in my hand, Henry was shocked. I was going to gift you this junk car for your birthday, but it seems you prefer the tie Selena got you more. Looking at the three of them, I teased, why aren't you paying? If you don't, I might just take the car. Seeing them speechless, I cheerfully declared, I'll take it, full payment by card. Back at home, I received a surprising call from Henry's mother, even though I remember blocking her number. Michelle, Henry's mother's tone was no longer arrogant, and even through the phone, I could sense the ingratiating smile on her face. I'm Henry's mom. Actually, I just want to apologize to you, Michelle. It was all my fault before, blinded by Selena. I missed out on having a great daughter-in-law like you. Curious, I asked, what's happening? She continued, it's about Henry. He has always had you in his heart. Even though he liked Selena before, that was just a young thing. You, as his girlfriend for 4 years, are the one he really loves. She pleaded, can you give Henry another chance? He's been starving himself every day for you, Michelle, please consider it. His health is deteriorating like this. To starve himself all day for me? Is he regretting taking my money and that's why he can't eat? Henry's mom noticed my silence and asked, Michelle, are you listening? Sure. I smiled and spoke up, then please tell him something for me. Tell him that the 4 years we spent together were the darkest period of my life. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. And another thing, don't call me again. Want to win me back? Do you have a house? If not, are you even worthy? Your son couldn't earn in his lifetime what I make in a year. After marriage, he'll just be a burden to my family. I repeated back to him exactly what Henry's mom had once said to me, then promptly hung up. I got off the couch, poured a glass of red wine, and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the entire night scene. I unlocked my phone and made a call. Auntie, a trip to Europe, my treat. Ready to go now or not? Great, I'll see you at the airport, my dear.